Okay, sorry about that. Can you see my screen and hear me? Hi, Sandra. If you can hear me, that is. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Says Joanne is on as a presenter, so she's probably muted for now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because, you know, I talk a lot. So we're going to talk about, and I have my Excel sheet up for a reason, but we're going to talk about this 5643 marketing concept. And I don't know where this originally came from, and I know it originally came from somewhere, but we're going to use it because it's probably pretty accurate, and it's been tested by some other marketers. And yes, this is pretty representative. Now, of course, they're usually on Facebook, so there could vary depending on where you're at. But the concept of this is that 56%, oh, I probably should say that this is the Lead Generation Source Wednesday webinar. I normally have a PowerPoint, but a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, we're just going to jump straight into talking about this marketing strategy. So 56% of any of the people who see your ad, see your product, see your offer, whatever it is, are not ready to buy from you, right? Not ready to buy from anyone. Let's say they're just not in the market for it. 40% are ready to buy or ready to buy soon from someone, right? Not necessarily you, but from someone. Of course, we want to make that us. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Now, 3% are ready to buy right now, or well, within the first 24 hours, within the next 24 hours, right? From someone. That's still not right. Someone. Okay, now I know that's not 100% for those of you who are math whizzes, but that's because there's always a variable in there. So this is, you know, approximately 56, 40, and 3. Now you could, if you got the right audience, this could be a little bit higher, this could be a little bit higher, and this could be a little bit lower. There's just a representation that there are more people that look at your product, your ad, whatever it is, that are not ready to buy from you than there are the people who are ready to buy. Now, what we tend to do is we tend to focus on this 3%. And that's because, you know, that's the way we are. We want to sell something right now. But what happens is that we neglect this 40%. And so if we ignore them when they're not ready to buy now, but maybe in a week they want to buy, or in 2 weeks. And so if we ignore that 40%, then they're not going to buy from us most likely. And there are ways that we can make sure that they do, but the number one way is going to be email marketing. And I've talked about this before, and the dilemma with email marketing is that it does have a lower deliverability, and there are some challenges with it, like you have to have the right words in place and everything else. But for the most part, it's really, once you've set it up, it kind of works on its own. Now, of course, to do email marketing, there are some challenges, which we'll talk about, but how to capture the emails and everything. But email marketing, and then the other one is retargeting ads. Now, here's the great thing about retargeting ads is that Facebook has them, YouTube has them, Pinterest has them, Bing, Yahoo has them. Everybody has something called a retargeting ad. So no matter what you do, no matter what traffic you're driving, if it's free, it's paid, whatever it is. So if this is your traffic you are driving, right? Now you can retarget that 40%. Because of course the 3% would have already bought from you if they were interested. And you know, we've talked about this before. This isn't just a straightforward, oh, hey, I got to get more people in front of my product. You need to have a converting product, and you need to have a good sales page. And then ideally, a funnel setup. But this is where, and you know, since a lot of us are in e-commerce and working with Etsy right now, this is kind of where Etsy comes into play. And if I can do this right, normally I would have a chart and I would draw it, but I can't find my tablet to save my life. So we're going to do it with Excel the best we can. So we're going to do our 56, 40, and 3. And we're going to have our website. So I'm going to call it actually Trex, because most of us are with Trex. So F2 website. And then I need to make this bigger, I know. Font. Okay, so we've got our Trex website and we've got Etsy. Those are our two main platforms where we are selling, right? So these are going to be money sites. And Linda had asked this, and this is what kind of got me on this track. The difference between Trex and Etsy, right? This is, we have to drive all traffic ourselves. And Etsy is, we can, I guess, utilize their traffic that they're generating, because they're paying for ads to get people to Etsy. They want people on Etsy. So other people are driving traffic to Etsy as well, right? So if we run an ad to Etsy and somebody doesn't like our product, they could shop around for somebody else's product. That's one of the both pros and cons of it, that we can be found because of somebody else, but somebody else can also be found from our efforts. So this is where it's like, okay, yeah, I want to drive traffic to my site, but the problem is that we need to have a converting product. Yeah, I need something better than this. But so converting product on either site will, generate us money. So then from the converting product, we need to capture their information, which of course with the Trex site, hi Brian, how's it going? With the Trex site, with the Locker Stock, I should say, Locker Stock has the integration will capture their email. I don't know what their plans are beyond that yet, but at least if you have the email, you can do something with it. And then, so you can get that from Etsy, right? So this would be Etsy has the Locker Stock integration. And then of course, when they're on our site, whether it's Trex or somebody else's site, you're going to have an order email, or you're going to have an opt-in email. And then let's go back to this 56, 40, and 3 concept. So while on Etsy, it's going to be very difficult for us to capture the information, we may need to do some, we may need to run some ads, but that's going to be, that's still not going to be necessarily, I wonder if Etsy has retargeting ads. I didn't even look at that. But anyway, so what's going to happen is that at Etsy, we're going to be less likely to be able to retarget that 40 and that 3. However, we're going to be already targeting that 40 and 3 but on Etsy already. So our Trex site, everybody we're driving traffic to here is going to fall under this general thing. And again, like I said, this depends on if it's converting product. And let me see, converting product, you have a good sales page, and of course, ideally a funnel so that you can capitalize on them spending money. And that concept of the funnel, we'll talk more about another time, but there is some legitimacy to this, and that's because what they do is they have already said yes to you, right? So it's the yes equals more yeses, or more, I don't know if yeses is a word. We'll just say yes equals more yes. And that's because if somebody's already bought from you and they're like, oh wow, okay, they're kind of in a buying mood. Now, I know all of us have gone through funnels where they upsell you and they upsell you and they upsell you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But with e-commerce, it's different because you can cross-sell and you can upsell. And on Etsy, you can't do a funnel. So the question that Linda had that kind of triggered me thinking about this was, she said, well, which one do you want to drive traffic to, your Trex website or your Etsy website? And the reality is that it kind of depends on where you're at. One is that for most of us, we have not found a converting product so far. And so while we might have to spend a few bucks to list some items on Etsy and then do some tactics to drive our, views up, we need to test our products. And it's, unless we want to spend a lot of money driving ads to our Trex website, then hide that. Then we need to use Etsy's built-in traffic source, right? So the idea is to minimize money on Etsy, we need to drive traffic. And how are we going to drive traffic to any of these sites are the ways that we've talked about before. And that could be YouTube videos, since Brian just said video. So we can use a YouTube video, we can use Pinterest. And of course, this can be just pins or group pins, which we will explore the group aspect in a little bit. Well, not today, but eventually. Now that I got my main site back, and I think I know what is going on, by the way. So we've got pins and we've got group pins that we can do to drive traffic. And then let's see, what else have we talked about so far? Google Plus, which, by the way, I would like to report that I made it on page 1 and into the second position for my keyword for two similar keywords, and this all I did was the one step that I took to kick me off of page 2 to move up was I shared my YouTube video to my Google Plus page. And that's all I did in that particular case. So the strategies that we're talking about do work. They may take some time. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, SEO, it just takes time. Here's the thing is that we don't know where our traffic is right now. So everything we're doing is to test where our traffic is. So where are our buyers, right? Maybe our buyers aren't on YouTube, but because we're taking the steps to go ahead and build an audience and to build those videos on there, which of course we're using the videos other places as well, then we turn around and say, okay, well, if we don't find anybody on there, that's okay because we've tried it and now we know, okay, well, that's not where our buyers are, but oh, hey, it's helping me rank. So I still need to do the videos anyway. And of course, like I said, now we can do videos on Pinterest, which is actually something relatively new because they used to only run it for ads, I guess. But now you can run them as pins. I don't know if you have to promote the pin or not. I haven't gotten that far, but it is pretty cool because they used to not be able to put videos on Pinterest. And so now you can put videos directly on Pinterest. Oh, good, Brian, you don't have to promote. So they were saying that I was watching a webinar the other day and they said that changed. So they said that originally the only way you could do it is if you were a business and if you were promoting it. And then they didn't say how it was now. So I'm like, well, it looks like you can just load them. And even if you were going to do a promoted pin, that it would probably be better to do the video. And Brian, were you, well, yeah, and I always recommend the business account anyway for the analytics. But were you promoting them before and then now you saw the change, or is it just something that you just know you can load them? And how long have you been doing it on Pinterest? About 3 years. That's cool. Yeah, so this was a webinar just a week or two ago and no promotion. So a week or two ago, they were saying that they changed it. So maybe they've always let you load it as a business and the only way you could do it as an individual was promoting. I don't know, but that's what they said, that's the way it used to be. So now they're trying to really push video. And so because of their shift, and here's the thing it comes down to is that video is more engaging. And the longer that they're keeping somebody on their site, the more money they're generating. So same concept as Facebook, same concept as YouTube, same concept as any of these sites that are doing video now, right? You've got, which I say it's kind of narrowed down to basically Vimeo and YouTube is all you can load to. We haven't talked about Vimeo at all because it's kind of a pain. So, and YouTube's so much better, but we will talk about Vimeo eventually. But, so let's say YouTube, what they've done now is that you can utilize the middle of your video, right? You're going to have that capability to advertise. We'll probably see Pinterest eventually do the same thing because Facebook has done it as well. It used to be that you could load an hour-long ad if you wanted to, a video ad, which I think if you're paying for an ad, they shouldn't have an ad snuck in there. But if you posted a video on your page for an hour, you could just play it. And now I'm seeing them all the time. And I don't know if they're monetizing it, like if they're asking for people to play ads. I don't know all of the parameters of this, but now you've got where you can actually have your 15-second video in the middle of somebody else's video on Facebook. And so Facebook is making money here everywhere. And because of that, because I'm seeing that this shift to videos, I think that that's a good spot for us to be is videos with Pinterest. And I don't want us to overlook YouTube because YouTube, of course, drives that search engine optimization. And there's a bunch of traffic on there that we don't know if our buyers are on there or not. they might be. A lot of people are on YouTube, so undoubtedly there are some buyers on there. But again, that's one of those that unless you are keyword specific, you could easily get a bunch of people who aren't interested that are watching your videos. But that's okay too if they're watching your videos, right? So let's see, what else have we talked about? We talked about Twitter, which Twitter has a lot of different opportunities, but the most that we're doing right now is that we're going to use it. And part of the reason why I'm hesitant to do more with Twitter right now is because they're kind of under a lot of scrutiny. Sorry, I'm reading Joanne's comment. So this is just an FYI for Etsy. I noticed they placed all my new listings on page 9 for the phrase I'm trying to rank for. After 2 days, my product is on page 5, and 1 day, my next product is on page 8. Yeah, so Joanne, you saw that I did that when I looked at incognito. Mine went from 9, and then yesterday or on Monday when we were doing it, which was basically like 36 hours later, it was on page 5. So they do obviously want it to be on there for longer than 24 hours. For that's one. And two is that my sister believes, I don't think she's on right now because she's pretty sick. So her kid got her sick. Yay. That she believes that adding in policy pages and, you know, as we fine tune the whole entire account. So keep in mind, if we have a new account, that's also going to be a factor in what we do. The more aged account, the more listings you have, everything else is probably going to drive it up. And so right now, what we need to do is get them listed, and then we'll start. And we've already talked on Monday, we talked some strategy about, you know, driving some traffic using the search, using that search term phrase. But yeah, I would imagine that as we fine tune our account and we get our get more listings out there, and then we start driving some traffic from some other places, that we'll start seeing a boost in that. And the great thing is that if we're not going after super highly competitive, even then, like I said, the apron that I did as an example was on page 9, 5 hours or 10 hours after we launched it, and that was with 100,000 searches on there.
Right. That's why all right. So I figured I'd just talk quick, because that's why I wanted to just bring that up to you, because I know you were saying yours was on page 9, but one I put on last night at around 12:30, it's very low, but it's on page 1. It only had it has looks like about 20 pages, if that's the most, but it had all right, come on, not it's 939 sellers with that. So I'm already on page 1.
Now that's a really cool. So I would say if you can find a keyword with less than like 2,000 on it, that you're going to have a really good shot at getting on page 1 without any advertising. Now, did you run an ad?
I'm still running that $1 an ad a day. And I don't think I've actually even spent the $1. And now I'm just using it for all 3 products that I have up.
Now that's a really good strategy, by the way, since I know I wasn't really going to focus on Etsy, but I'll talk about this for both Etsy and Amazon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I didn't want to get too much into Etsy because there's a lot of people behind. But you're way ahead, Joanne. That's all.
Oh.
And we need Chrissy. Chrissy's the guru. Both Amazon and Etsy seem to reward you for running ads. So whether you're actually whether you actually pay for the ads or not is irrelevant. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll put a really low bid on there. You know, they'll cap their you know, like I did the other day, 15 cents or whatever, because I was like tired of paying 66 cents and having people just like my thing. But here's the thing with Etsy. If somebody likes it, then they're going to, and this is on Etsy, they have some built-in retargeting in place. And when you do a search, if somebody clicks on your ad, it'll show up at the bottom of the search results as they're searching saying recently viewed. They will, if you've clicked on it before, or like you've clicked on that company before, right? So for example, that might be why I can find Snappy Baby on page 1 so much, is because I've been to her account and I like her. So because I've been on her page, I've liked her shop, they're more likely to show her ads on page 1 than somebody else to me. So it's really interesting. They've come a long ways from this whole, we're going to show you what we want to show you, to now we're going to show you what we think you like. You know, Google's kind of shifted the same way. YouTube shifted the same way. I mean, a lot of these, I'm sure Pinterest has shifted the same way, where it's no longer just, okay, you've optimized for this, you get to be on page 1. It's going to be, okay, while you're optimized for this, and we're going to be more likely to show you to page 1, we're going to show you to page 1 to people who are more interested. What the heck? Have I not unplugged that phone yet? Sorry. Let me see if I can get this thing out. It's a bot that keeps calling me, so it's kind of annoying. I'm trying to unplug it real quick. There we go. That should never be a problem again.
Actually, looking at that, it's my ad that made it to the first page. It's the second group of ads on that first page.
Okay, so that's still pretty good though, because ads aren't always on page 1 either.
Right. I know my other ones haven't made it with the ad. So
well, and that's based on the bid amount. So if it's a highly competitive one, but if you get people clicking on your ad, again, that goes back into now you've got a retargeting chance. And this is where, like my sister said, so she has like 2,000 products or something listed. And so if somebody looks at one of hers, as they're searching for other things that are related, they're going to see her other ads in the beginning of the search results, regardless of where she ranks. So getting more posts out there, and that's very helpful. So there is an Etsy specific strategy that can help you target this 40%, right? Because if somebody looks at yours and they're like, well, I'm not that interested in it right now, there's nothing we can do about it. But Etsy knows that people need retargeting, people need to see something more than once, etc. And they're going to do that naturally for you. And that's built in, regardless of whether you're running ads or not. That's already built in. So if you're running ads, now you have a chance of, in fact, Christy and I always laugh when we see an ad and then the listing is naturally right below it. It always cracks us up. So we're like, well, I mean, I guess that's one way to get people to see you more than once.
Yep.
So there's a lot of it.
One other tip, and then you can continue. I'm sorry, then we can get back to. I wasn't thinking when I put that up there that you weren't doing this. I'm sorry, everyone. But one other thing that I did do, and I think that's why my other ad that was for mom's things jumped from 9 to 5, because I saw people who were ranking in the first page had used all or whatever, however many keywords they had in the title. They put it as the first line of their description. So I tried that, and it jumped it from 9 to 5.
Yeah, and that's what
in 24 hours.
Yeah, so that's what we do on our listing, and that's what we talked about when we walked through it. Is that we take the exact title that we do and we put it as the first sentence in the description.
Yep, even though it doesn't really make sense, they're just seeing it all again, but it seemed to work. So I'm sorry, that was just another, I forgot, I didn't know you had mentioned it, I might have missed it, but I did notice that, and I tried it, and it seemed to work if anyone's doing Etsy.
Well, that's good. No, that's good. It's good to say that, hey, we know what we're talking about. We're not making stuff up here.
No, you're doing great. Thanks, Kim.
Oh, Brian wants to know if you made any sales yet.
No, I've been on it for 3 days. I've been putting one a day on. I just haven't had time because I'm also trying to keep up on my Facebook posts, like trying to do 8 a day. And yeah, it's very time consuming.
Well, and that's the whole reason why, I've said this before, is that what's nice about the Trex model is that we're not making or shipping the product. So we have the time, we can focus our efforts on the marketing and, finding where the buyers are. Now, of course, there are lots of resources out there we can eventually dive into, but when we're first getting started, it's really good, one, to learn it, and two, when we don't have to spend money to get buyers, that's, or as much money to get buyers, that's always nice. So, I mean, I'm learning something right now that if I can get it into place, then we can use it to help promote our products easily. It's a syndication network is what I'm trying to build, actually like 40 of them. But I want one to focus specifically on like great gift ideas. And then it'll be a syndication network where like each of us can, when we post a product, you just send me hey, here's the link of it. And then I'll put it through my, whatever it is. If it's, I haven't decided quite on the entry of it, but an entry point would be, for example, if you have a YouTube video, right, then you can use what's called the RSS feed. You can use that and you can ping that out to a bunch of your networks. So like your, Facebook pages, to Twitter links, you can do all the stuff that we've been talking about automatically, where you just by loading it, it does it. So I know that it's really time consuming and a lot of people don't know how to do that. And so I'm learning it so I can do it and then hopefully help us in our group. But like I said, I'm going to do one that's specifically to e-commerce so we can hopefully get some extra links out. And hey, maybe we'll get some followers on those outlets. because I did not realize how much, I didn't realize how many like networks there are out there. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick and I'll tell you guys a number. So even though I'm covering like the big ones, there's a bunch I've never even dabbled in. Like there's one called, let me see, this is the template right here. I know I'm not showing you guys this, but so they have the current template has, stop, what are you doing? It's like getting all freaky with me. So Google Plus profile, Google Plus page, which we've talked about those, YouTube, we talked about that. Blogger, that's one we haven't talked about, but we will want to talk about eventually, because something that else that I found out today was I was listening to somebody who was talking, and I don't know that we're going to have this problem with Trex as much, but like if you have a Shopify account, they're talking about you can put a blog on there. But one thing that they've been saying is that there is, because Shopify IP address is linked to e-commerce, there may be some, I don't want to say negative, but some adjustment in algorithm. So like they could, like Google can go in and say, look, any of the Shopify IPs, we're going to tag them as e-commerce. So we don't really consider them as content. So it may be harder for a Shopify page to get on page 1 for something. Now, of course, that just depends on the competition and everything, but we don't know since we don't know the algorithm. But anyway, you can use something like Blogger or WordPress and create a free blog, and then you can use that to create a backlink back to your page anyway. So those are ones that we'll talk about after we get through the big social media ones. And then we'll also talk some strategy for e-commerce on building specifically some content to drive people back there, because you got to be kind of sneaky about it, but at the same time not. It just depends on what you're doing. So let's see, the Blogger, and then I don't know what the heck why that says page logging, because I don't know if that's an actual thing. It's also highlighted green on their template, so that might be something they just meant to delete. WordPress.com, like I said, which WordPress has, of course, you can have self-hosted sites like we have for Trex, or you can have a free site through WordPress, and that is one that is like Blogger, so it's its own separate entity. Then they have one listed here that I've never even heard of called Gravatar, which Brian's probably heard of it. Then they've got Tumblr, which I've heard of, but everybody gets their pages banned like immediately, or their accounts banned like immediately, so that's one you have to play with. Twitter, and then I'm guessing Delicious. It looks spelled delicious.com. And then there's a Diigo, D-I-I-G-O, which I've never heard of. And then there's a couple things listed here that don't make any sense. They have Evernote, Get Pocket, G Drive, which I don't understand how that would even be a link. Of course, like I said, I'm going through some of the training on these. I'm like, I know about some of them, and I'm like, some of these other ones, I'm like, I don't understand how you can do these. But anyway, so then they've got a couple other ones in here that are no longer there. And then optional sites, looks like they have Weebly, Medium, Facebook, Pinterest, of course. I don't have my glasses on, so that's not helping either. Instapaper, Discus, blog.com, and then there's some other notes in here, which don't make any sense to me. So yeah, Reddit, I forgot. Wait, is that one that I said is, I didn't say Reddit, but yeah, Reddit is on there. But is that one of the ones that I said and they've just turned it into that? Yeah, because I don't have Reddit on here. That's weird. So we may find, as we go through these and add them on, and like I said, eventually I'd like to build in like an e-commerce one that we can all use and just submit our stuff to. Like if you, like I might be able to even subscribe to a feed. Like if I can put a subscription to, in fact, I already know I can. So like if you have a YouTube one, when you load your YouTube video, it would syndicate out to all of the accounts, and I would make that automatic in my system so that you guys don't have to learn all that. That's what I'm trying to build, but it's going to take some time. So that's where we go back to this. So we're driving the traffic to either one of these sites. Now there's no reason why we can't drive traffic to both. It's just for now, what I would say is I would focus on driving it to Etsy. Oh man. I would focus on driving it to Etsy first until you find a converting product. Then once you find a converting product, then switch your efforts. In fact, I would start doing monetized efforts to your Trex site. And that's because you now have tested it on Etsy and you know that people are willing to buy it. And of course, also once they've bought it through, they've bought it, we have locker stock, whether you have it integrated or not, you can do this. And that is you put in some sort of image, or, they have it for logo, personalization, customization on there for your own site. But what you want to do is you want to give them like an offer or something to come back to your site. So you have to once you figure out a strategy, you would drive them back to your site and say, maybe you have a main converting product. So let's say you are in the religious niche, and you know that people are, there's a lot of interest in a shirt that you have, and you do have it on Etsy, but maybe that's not the one that they bought. Or maybe you don't have your personalization on Etsy, and you're like, oh, hey, I think that they, somebody who's bought this, they're interested in that niche. Let's go ahead and offer them a personalized product and see what they, if they're interested in it. Oh, and by the way, here's a coupon for 15% off if you buy within the next, 48 hours. I've said this before. The 48 hours, it doesn't have to expire. You just encourage them. Hey, if you buy within the next 48 hours, get 15% off. Now, if they buy it 72 hours, they can still get the 15% off, but it's supposed to encourage, if you give that scarcity or that time limit, then they're more likely to hop on and buy. So, and that's a strategy that everybody uses, like all the big names and stuff. In fact, my husband had to buy something for me. He's like, I just got an email and they said, hey, thanks for your order. Here's 10% off your next order in the next 48 hours. I said, see, told you. He's like, okay, well, I guess that is what they do. So that's what everybody's doing, because that's the idea, is now they've bought on Etsy. We do have their email. And once we figure out how to do that email thing, we should definitely utilize it. But the problem is that Etsy's terms of service make it so that even if you get that email, you shouldn't be putting them in your email system. And it's like, well, it just depends on how risky you're going to be. But what I would do is I would use that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Chatmatic. I'm going to put it on the bottom where it says scan this code, get 15% off, and then, puts them into a funnel and ask them to be put into the funnel. So, okay, hey, yeah, we want to email you this 15% off. Authorize us to get your email, and then the email will go into the automation so that they'll get the code and they'll be put into follow-up lists. And so let's talk more about this 40%, right? So we now know that Etsy does have a 40% on it. But what we also want to do is we want to say, if somebody comes to our site, especially if they come to our Trek site, we want to be able to offer them something in exchange for their email. So that way we can follow up with them. And that's the cheapest retargeting you have. Sandra says, can you have integration to Etsy with 2 fulfillment platforms? Yeah, Sandra, I'm assuming you mean like if you had, I can't think of another platform off the top of my head, but so let's say you're integrating with Lockerstock, you want to integrate with another one, right? So with both Lockerstock and maybe, okay, yeah, you can. I would say it depends on the other one. With Lockerstock, what they do, and this is, of course, I've been sending in tickets and going back and forth with them. I did it all weekend, and so now I think I'm pretty much caught up with it. But what they do is that every order you get from Etsy will go to them. But I'm assuming they have automation that does this, because it would be really stupid if it was manual. But what their system will do then is look at the SKU number. And if the SKU number matches the SKU number in their system, which of course is in Lockerstock, then they process the order through their platform. If it doesn't match, which it shouldn't if it's from somewhere else or doesn't even have a SKU, then they won't process it. In fact, I did test this where we did a test order, or it's just a test order, and we made the order, and so it shows up in Lockerstock that there was an order, but they never put it into Lockerstock because there was no SKU number for it. So you can still track some information in there, and you might get some duplicate data as far as like how many sales you have and everything else if you're looking at both. But you can, and my sister and I have talked about this, because there's some mugs and some embroidery items and a bunch of other stuff we found through Scalable Press, which is a new company, and they kind of have some issues, but we're trying to work through them. But the mug that she got was so cool, and they have a bunch of different color changing options, like way more than what Trex has. And so she really loved their mug, and she's like, we've got to sell these. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's see how it works. And so we talked about that, and that was the one thing that we ran into was, okay, well, Lockerstock won't process it. Now for Scalable Press, we have to manually process all the orders, but yeah, it's called Scalable Press. Here, I'll type it in. There it is. And they have no plans to integrate. Oops, where did you guys go? There you are. They have no plans to integrate with Etsy. My sister actually emailed them and asked. Now, if we all email and ask, maybe they will. But they currently have no plans to integrate with Etsy. Not the end of the world, because much like what Print Tech is doing, there are companies out there that you can integrate with, and more than likely will integrate with Scalable Press, because like they integrate with some other platforms. So that's something that if we decide that, hey, they're definitely worth it, we might explore a different platform to integrate with them and make Etsy still streamlined. Because if you don't want to have to process 1,000 orders, now I am telling you, if we're processing 1,000 orders a day, we have enough money to hire a VA to do it. And my sister said it's really easy, especially if you have all the artwork on hand and everything, that you can load it really quick and process the order. And she tested the drop ship to me, which once I get the product, I'll know for sure. But Brian, you're like, I'll take 1,000 orders. I'm like, I have a 17-year-old that needs a job, so I will take 1,000 orders a day. He will be fit to work. Brian doesn't have a 17-year-old. I have a 17-year-old. I don't know if Brian has a 17-year-old. So, Joanne, yeah. 2 cats that need to work. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be honest. There's 1 cat in our house, and that cat is not gonna do any work at all. In fact, I don't know why she like randomly comes up to me. I'm like, I never feed you. I tell you to stay out. I tell you to get away from me, and yet you always come up to me. And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm allergic. So let's go back to this real quick. So what we want to do is, obviously, if you have the money to do retargeting ads, and this is the biggest thing. So we've been talking a lot about free traffic. And we're going to keep talking about free traffic. And the reason why is because this free traffic is creating the links back that we need. You know, like I said, I just shared it to a Google Plus page. And the only reason why I shared it, by the way, was because they were telling me they're going to shut it down because I haven't had time to maintain it, which is part of the reason why I want to do syndication. And I'm like, look, I want to keep this. So let me share my YouTube video on it because that's content that's already done. Right. And we've talked about this. I'm going to do a replay of last Wednesday's, or I'm not going to do a replay. I'm going to redo last Wednesday since we had technical issues and show you guys those apps again. Which I think, Sandra, I think you weren't here last week, right? So you didn't get to see the apps that are pretty cool. The first one is Legend. And where did the other one go? Must have updated and moved. Son of a gun. What is the other one? It's like gone off my site. It's like gone off my phone. Starts with a V. Video. ST. What? Just type it in here. VID. Video Shop. Yeah, so we covered using Legend and Video Shop, and it's actually pretty cool. So I will hunt down my tablet and I will do a recording with Screencast-O-Matic because that's so cool. And I will show you exactly how to use that. And it's basically, if you have Android, you can get the free version of Video Shop. It is kind of a pain. I recommend upgrading. But you on the Apple devices, what is going on? Something happened at my Video Shop. I can't get into it. Maybe I'll have to upgrade. So on the Apple devices, it's like $2 or something. So, and then of course, like I said, I would upgrade on the Android anyway, because there's obviously glitches with the free version, as I've hit it like 30 times and it's still not coming up. I have to go to the Play Store and figure out what's going on. And yes, to answer your guys' question from Monday, I have had a lot of Diet Coke today. So that's probably why I'm talking fast. With all the rapid changes today, it's been one of those much needed caffeine days. So am I eating? I ate something. Yeah, I ate some chicken. I choked down some chicken nuggets this morning. Well, early afternoon. And then I'm doing better. I am keeping food down today. I've not been sick, for the record. She's giving me a hard time because I had a dream on Sunday, and the dream was about me eating something horrible. And it reminded me of something I saw on Facebook. And so since Sunday, I've had a tough time eating anything meat related. Well, anything period, but meat related specifically, because I swear it was gonna make me a vegetarian. Oh, another order just came in. Amazon order. Anyway, so let's go back to our 56, 40, and 3. So ideally we get some 3s, and we can get some, after we've gotten our traffic to our site. Now we're going to actually kind of type over this. So we've driven some traffic to our site, and we have email marketing, right? Email marketing, which is minimal in cost. You know, like there's one, I use SendLane a lot, and it's like $9 a month for their other one. MailChimp's okay, and I know you can do it for free for a while, but everybody that I've talked to that has MailChimp and uses it and used it aggressively said they eventually had to go up to the paid version before they needed the paid version. And that was because in order to get the analytics they needed, they had to get that paid version, and it was expensive. It was like $150 a month. So now that's every platform. Like even with SendLane, they have some analytics built in, but they recommend a third-party analytics that they offer because it's just, you can't get good analytics without really good tracking. So the main one that I use is called SendLane. That's what I do, sendlane.com. That's the main one that I do. And that's because, I'm actually going to delete these so that they're not in our way. And that's because it's, like I said, they have a $9 a month version, and you don't have to, like, if you're doing the integration, it might be a little bit more problematic, but you can create, like, so if I have 5 websites, which I have way more than this, but let's say I have 5 websites, then I can have each one of them have a funnel in SendLane, even though I've signed up for one account. And I think you can do that with most of them, but yeah, so, but I'm going to tell you, Brian, that with MailChimp, the $10 for 500 emails actually doesn't get you all the analytics. And I don't know why. There's something in there, and I can't, they tell you this. They actually shift you over to a completely different type of, it's not called MailChimp either. It's like a special platform for it. So it's like I don't know, their upgraded version, but it's not called MailChimp. It's called whatever there is, but it's the same company. And so if you want to get the true analytical one, the one that actually does everything that a business would need, you'd have to pay more for it. But like I said, that's the same if you're going with SendLane. That's the same if you're going with Aweber. That's the same if you're going with GetResponse. It doesn't really matter. And any of those will do the trick. Now, the thing with MailChimp, and that's the one that, MailChimp, is that this will integrate with the Trex site. I have not used it enough to tell you how well it works, but because it has an integration, there may be a benefit with just sticking and learning MailChimp. And the reason why I've stuck with SendLane is because I've had training on it, right? So Kim has training on SendLane, so that's the only reason why Kim trained. Oh, why did you do that? Did I somehow hit an equal sign? Maybe that's because that's like that, maybe. Yeah, okay. So I guess I didn't like the asterisk. So Brian, the reason why I don't like MailChimp, to be honest, is because I integrate it with my Shopify store. And while it tells you the numbers, and granted, yeah, the bounces and open rates and stuff, you can get all that through almost any of the platforms. But the one thing that it would do is it would say, okay, well, here, we're going to send out your abandoned cart emails, right? And I've tested this, almost every abandoned cart email I've tested that integrates with Shopify does the exact same thing. So I was in there testing it, and I put it in my cart, and then I was like, oh man, I need to go and change something before I can purchase. So I went back into my settings, changed it, went back into my cart. I had closed out. I went back in, went into my cart, made the purchase as a test purchase. And guess what MailChimp said? Even though it hadn't even sent me the email yet. Oh, look what we recovered for you. And it just ticked me off. I'm like, okay, so none of your numbers are accurate. But like I said, it's with almost any of the Shopify integrations. So I don't know if there is a solution to that, or if it's just, that's what, I don't know if it was unique to MailChimp and this other one that I tested, but I stopped. I'm like, look, if I don't like MailChimp, it's not very easy for me to figure out. So, and I don't want to have to sit and go through a bunch of training to figure that one out when SendLane is so much easier for me to use. Now, like I said, that's just because I have had training on it. And SendLane's really drag and drop. I think MailChimp's gone the same way. And so MailChimp now versus 2 years ago when I first started with it, or maybe 3 years ago now, might have been 3 years ago, when I first started really getting into email marketing, was a nightmare. And they were actually shut down multiple times because of spammers. So spammers would use their system to spam, and then their IPs would get blacklisted. But GetResponse has had that, Aweber has had that, and the only reason why SendLane hasn't had that is because they've been the ones that have been on the end of having their account shut down, so they got ahead of it. But SendLane, like I said, still has its challenges. Like I said, there's other ones, GetResponse, Aweber, So let's see, Aweber is a really big one in internet marketing. I think it's aweber.com, and then the other one's GetResponse. You just Google that one. I think it's probably getresponse.com. But so anyway, so that's the reason why I like SendLane, is because I have had training on it. But those are all going to be email marketing ones. Now there's some other stuff that you can do to kind of cheat with email marketing, like there's like some apps and stuff. Constant Contact, yeah, that's what they're kind of more expensive though, aren't they? And they offer more. Constant Contact, yeah, they offer, I think they offer more than just email marketing, right? So they're one. There's another one that's really good and really expensive. But for the cheaper ones, I would start with either SendLane or MailChimp. Those would be the two if you're looking for price. Infusionsoft is super expensive, but they have a lot of integration and capability. Yeah, so like I said, there's a gajillion of them out there. But if you're looking for price point, I would start with either MailChimp or SendLane. And since MailChimp integrates with Trex, it might be worth, and of course they integrate with Shopify, and you know there's a lot of options with MailChimp. They're really trying to get it out there and be like the dominant one. There's a lot of training, there's a lot of YouTube videos, there's a lot of stuff. So MailChimp might be the best one if you haven't learned a platform yet. If you have and you like that one, stick with that one. There's really no big deal on any of these. So, but what you want to do is you want to capture those emails. And in order to capture the emails, you either need to give something to get something, right? And the idea is you give them some sort of discount, freebie, and this could be in e-commerce. The most common ones are discount. And I'm going to tell you that in the experience that I've had and others have had, you need to look for a 25% price point. So you're going to have to, look at who you're targeting, and this goes back to that whole Facebook thing. We've talked about this, is that when you're driving traffic from Facebook, you have no idea if you're targeting people who are looking for discounts, who are looking for, everybody wants to save money. But if your price point starts at $39 so that you can give them a 25% discount just to get your money back, then you need to be targeting the right kind of person who's going to look at that and say, oh yeah, that's worth $39. That's where Etsy's comes in handy. People on Etsy and Pinterest are more likely to make those higher ticket purchases. And so again, I go back to this whole look at where you can start with Etsy, get your conversions, try to get people to come back into your funnel through, retargeting them yourself, either, driving them to your site in some way, because you cannot do Facebook retargeting. You cannot do, I have this maybe too big. Oops. What? I'm just making this worse every time I click it. So somebody's knocking on my door. So you would do, you cannot do Facebook retargeting, Pinterest retargeting, YouTube retargeting, unless you can put the, Cassandra baby, I'm on a webinar. That's why the door is shut. I really need to get a lock. You cannot put the pixel. Yeah, Instagram, Brian, the only reason why I haven't gone into that is I haven't talked about Instagram very much. Instagram is there, and Instagram has some really good potential, and that is both in, of course, you've got your ads. You've got, why? I guess I put this subtract. So we'll do ads. Then we'll do, you can do influencer shout outs. Can you please go away?
What's my teacher's name?
You don't have a teacher. I'm your teacher.
No, the teacher of my Zumba.
I don't know. So you got ads, you got influencer, and then of course you've got, you can build up your own account. So natural, so organic. And if you're just getting started, you're probably gonna have to run ads or influencer stuff to get there. Influencer has a lot of potential, but the dilemma with that is it does cost money. So if you're looking at free methods for driving traffic, you can start, I would start building an Instagram account, which of course we're going to talk about more in future weeks. I wanted to get through this process so you guys, everybody goes, well, which one do I focus on? The reality is that we kind of need to test all of them. So if you can only focus on one and you're doing Etsy, the one that matches up with that is Pinterest. Pinterest and Etsy pretty much go hand in hand. Now, I know that Instagram, if you're in for fashion, is a good one. And so, you know, Brian, when you bring that up, Instagram is really good for fashion items, for targeting the younger generation. And I say that, but I think there's been a shift since Instagram itself has been growing. I think there's more people on there than just the young generation now. So there is going to be some potential with Instagram, but until you can get your own following, you're going to have to do something to build that. I do have a couple of resources that we can explore to see if they work, since I don't have an Instagram account. Oh, I take that back. I do. I don't post anything on it right now. And that's because I'm over the age of 35. And I told you guys, like last year, it was like 90% of the people were under the age of 35. So I was still over the age of 35 last year. And unfortunately, every year from here on out, it's just going to keep getting higher above that. I hate to break it to everybody, but you just get older. In case nobody told you guys. That's the way it works. So we do want to test converting products. So if you can find an audience. Yeah, and Brian, here's the thing is that unfortunately, Instagram is a full-time strategy. You have to be posting on Instagram a lot. It's just like Facebook, right? Facebook owns Instagram. So keep in mind that, you know, since Facebook owns Instagram, that a lot of their policies, a lot of the strategies and stuff are going to be complementary. So because of that, that makes this way more effort than Pinterest or YouTube or Google Plus or Twitter. I mean, well, I say that, but we're just using it for tweets right now, right? So for links, that's what we're using it for. We're not really doing anything else with that right now. But, you know, theoretically, you could make each one of these a full-time job, but any one of these three at least, like I said, we're just using that for links for right now, could drive traffic to your site independently with very minimal effort. Instagram, on the other hand, it's a highly competitive market. So that's the only reason why I've kind of been pushing Instagram off and focusing on these, is because if we're trying to get our traffic faster, we need to be testing the ones that are existing, and we're not competing with a gajillion people. We're competing with a ton of people on Instagram right now. Right, and that's the other thing. So both Pinterest and Instagram, and I say this loosely, by the way, for Pinterest, Instagram is very visual. You have to have good visual content. You can't just put a product picture up there and think that it's going to do anything. I mean, yes, and we've talked about this. So same thing with Facebook. If you're going to do an ad and you're going to make it an image ad, which I don't recommend anymore because it just costs way too much money. But if you're going to do an image ad, you need to make sure that image is good and it captures the attention and it inspires. So that's a similar concept of Pinterest, except for that for some reason, the people on Pinterest are more forgiving than the people on Instagram. Like, you can have an okay picture on Pinterest or just a product picture on Pinterest and still drive traffic. I do it all the time. I say it all the time. I do it a couple times a month. Thank you. Brian agrees with me. So that makes me right. But so, Joey. So no, there's the strategies for each of these. They're going to vary a little bit, but I would say that yes, we definitely need to work towards Instagram. But before we get to Instagram and start putting a bunch of effort into this full-time thing, we need to make sure we have a converting product. And that's going to take us back to Etsy. Right? So now when, back to Linda's question, which one are we going to drive traffic to? Let's start with driving traffic to Etsy. Because if we can do like Joanne's strategy, let's spend $1 a day on ads. And even if you don't spend any money, that's okay. It's set up, it's in their algorithm. They're now giving you that thumbs up, right? Just like Amazon does, just like I'm sure eBay does and everybody else, that they're going to reward you for being somebody who's paying for ads. Then we can spend our efforts and our money on finding a converting product first. Then once we have a couple converting products, once we've figured out where we're going to be focusing our efforts for our products, then we can go back onto Instagram. Now, this doesn't mean you don't create an account and maybe post a couple things on it. You can still do that. But if you want to be successful on Instagram, you have to put a lot more work into it than you do with Pinterest or YouTube or Google+. So, and it was funny, I was watching a training on that syndication stuff I was telling you guys about. And it's older. The part that I was watching was older, and he was talking about Google Plus, and he goes, I'm not moving over to the new platform. And this was like 2 years ago. It's all the new platform now. So remember when I was showing you guys that and I was like, man, I hate Google Plus. This is horrible. You said the exact same thing. And I started laughing. I went, see, I am not the only one that thinks that Google made a bad move shifting it. So anyway, but it's worth it. And if I can figure this part out, I can actually teach you guys how to do just at least these three where you can syndicate from like your blog site. Yeah, I kid you not, Brian. I don't know who decided to make that move. They should have killed the new version as soon as they started getting the feedback, because I guess it's kind of like Microsoft. They must be friends, because Microsoft, they literally, so you see how up here, this is what they call a ribbon format, like this, where it's all ribbons. This is what they call a ribbon format. So they tested that, I don't know how long ago, and only in an isolated program. I mean, I lived in Nevada, so it was like 15 years ago. And the feedback was horrible. People hated it. They hated it. They said it wasn't intuitive. It was stupid. It was ugly. I mean, anything you can think of, they told them that. So you know what they did? They took it off for the next version. And then the following version, they released this for all of their products. Microsoft, you just released something that everybody said they hated, and yet they forced them to it, right? Same thing like what they did with, what did they do? That was 8. So it's not, what are we on now? We're on whatever we're on now, whatever the version, that wasn't Vista, but it was the one after that, Microsoft 8 or whatever. Everybody hated it. Yeah, so we're on 10 now, right, Joanne? Because they forced everybody from 8 to 10. Yeah, so they had, if you had 8, it was based mostly on mobile, and everybody hated it. In fact, everybody hated it so much they started jumping ship and going to Apple. And so they actually had to backtrack and take us back to 10. So anyway, that was just the fun stuff about Google Plus and how I can't believe they did that. So the 5643, just keep that in mind when you're doing stuff. And we'll talk more strategy, especially with the K&K group. We're going to talk more strategy with Chatmatic, because I think we have some really good potential of bringing people in. And even if you don't want to use Chatmatic, you can still use the same concept, exactly what we're going to talk about. I just happen to think the scan codes are cool. But I'll show you guys that they literally just released Chatmatic, or I should say Facebook let Chatmatic exist today. And I don't know if you guys heard, but Facebook had banned all all new APIs, and they stopped all old APIs for a period of time because of that whole them throwing a fit, which cracks me up, because they're like, well, so-and-so violated what Cambridge Analytica or whatever, they violated our trust. And I'm like, you mean they utilized the data you provide? Yeah, I'm like, and I'm like, everybody knows this. The information on Facebook has been available since forever. Facebook is now claiming that Cambridge Analytica, because they had access to it prior to 2014 when they had some changes, that's why they basically, that was the loophole, was because they had the app existing before 2014, they got access to this information. Newsflash, everybody's had access to this information forever. They've never changed that. So I'm going, why on earth is this newsworthy? You know what, people, how are you upset that Facebook took your data? NSA steals it every day and nobody cares. Google steals it every day and nobody cares. And yet Facebook gets in trouble because somehow they decided that Trump won because they utilized the data on it. I don't think so. It just cracks me up. This whole world cracks me up. And I'm like, well, you know what? Everybody, if Facebook can throw a fit and do what they want, we need to make sure we have our email marketing in place, because the one thing that I've heard is that there were multiple. She's going with you? Okay. All right. I'll see you guys there in a little bit. My daughter's abandoning me. She's going with grandma. The one thing that I saw happen was that with the last couple of days, with the shutdown of the apps through the API, multiple businesses basically stopped. They were like, we can't do anything, because they were delivering their content through, messenger broadcasts. And that's the one thing that's going to change, is the broadcast platform. And so, and I've said this from day one, is that you don't want to get stuck on one method. While email marketing has become much harder because, everybody gets a ton of emails, the open rate's low, deliverability is low, blah, blah, blah. It's still the only guaranteed way that you can communicate with people, your own people, period. So, you want, and on top of that, you can use emails to, at least right now, you can still use your emails to throw into Facebook for retargeting. And so now you're focused on that. So let me sum up with this. So we have our 56, 40, and 3. So when somebody turns into a 3 and they buy from you, they may now turn into the 56 or the 40. And from what our tests in the marketing world have revealed is that this number is a 6-month cycle. So if somebody's in the 56%, they may not, I hate that. I wish I could use something else instead of it highlighting it. So if they're in the 56%, they may not turn into the 40% or the 3%, and they can go from either one, right? They may not turn into that for 6 months. So you may have to literally market to them for 6 months before they're ready to go into one of these other places. Now, ideally, you're doing that here, right? You're targeting this 40% so that within that 6 months, they turn into that 3. Now, sometimes 40s will turn into 56 or whatever. And a good example, and Travis uses this example, and he actually takes credit for this 56, 43, but I've heard, it wasn't this exact percentage, but I've heard this marketing angle before, or example, I should say. It's not really an angle. If, he said, okay, well, he wasn't interested in this product that he was basically getting targeted for, and he was in the 56. Well, then his wife, and it was like shoes or something, right? So his wife got him a pair of Uggs, and he's like, okay, these are super comfortable. I'm a little bit more, and all of a sudden he saw the video for these shoes, and they were some sort of slipper, like a slipper, business slipper. And he's like, well, now that he saw that ad, he went from the 56 to the 40 simply because his wife had bought him Uggs for Christmas. And I was like, see, that's the same kind of thing like I think of. So with EP Laser, my dad showed me our ornaments the first time, and I was in the 56. I was like, these are stupid. I don't see how anybody's going to buy them. And then I saw him, I don't know, I was like, did some research. Something happened. And I went into the 40 and probably straight into the 3 right after that, simply because of whatever that exposure was. And so that's where you have to get in front of them multiple times. And it gets expensive when you're doing retargeting, especially when you're doing retargeting for Facebook. And then Pinterest and YouTube may be a little bit cheaper. YouTube obviously is going to be videos, not pictures. And then of course you've got Google Plus, and you've got your Yahoo and your Bing, which I guess I deleted them. But you've got your different ways for retargeting that may be more expensive or less expensive, and you definitely want to try a platform. Don't ignore one. I tend to stay away from Google ads because I don't understand their platform. Surprise, surprise. I don't understand their platform. And I know, no kidding. Brian. He said, amazing how having sales on an item will change how much you like it. That's true. When you're selling an item, and this is something that I throw out. When you're selling something, by the way, this will go for us, and I think I've said this before. So let's say you have, 10 designs there that you have to pick from, and you need to pick like 5 of them. You don't pick the 5 designs that you like. You pick, you maybe pick 2 designs you like, 2 designs you hate, and 1 that you're impartial to. And the reason why is because there's plenty of people that are all different. We may end up all being very similar, but we are a small percentage of the population. And so if we turn around and we put a product on Etsy, people may hate that product even though you love it. And there may be people who love it and you love it. But there's going to be plenty of people, same thing, that if you hate a product, there will be plenty of people who love it. Perfect example. And I'm going to show you this. This is what Travis showed us. Of course, he was selling what is it called? Man bag? Harry, I'm going to do this. Harry. He was selling an e-commerce, bag. I meant bag. He was selling an e-commerce thing that he's pitching, but here we go. I'm going to show you this. This is so disgusting. That is a freaking pouch. It's a fanny pack or whatever. That was like a really big, huge sale item. I know. That was a huge, I'm like, I would never, ever sell that. I would never sell that. And that thing was like, this guy made like $5,000 off of it in 1 month. And I'm like, oh, this is so gross. So we're going to get that off our screen now. Brian. So that it goes back to, I would never buy or sell that item. And yet people out there both bought it and sold it. Right. And it's just, we can't, as e-commerce and as our own business leader, we need to think about the fact that just because we don't like something doesn't mean it's not going to sell, and we need to test it. So if you have, if you come up with 10 different ideas, and you need to narrow it down, think about, picking some that you love, some that you hate, and some that you're impartial to, and testing them. Because I don't care. I'll sell stuff that I hate if it's making me money. Now, there are some rules. Like, I'm not going to sell something that is offensive to, religiously offensive, racially offensive. I will sell offensive stuff, just not under certain categories. Like, if it's offensive to a lawyer, I'm probably going to sell it. Just saying. If it's an offensive to an accountant, I'll probably sell it. It's not that I'm not that narrow, but I'm not going to do something that is going to go against my beliefs. Right. I will sell redneck stuff all day long because I'm in Texas and that's what we do here. We sell redneck stuff and people just eat it up. But I would never buy it, though my sister did. She lives in Nevada, and when she came to Texas, what did she buy? The America cap, where you put 2 beer bottles in it, and then it has, or no, 2 beer cans, I guess. It can be bottles or cans, and then it has the straws so you can drink from them. Yeah, she got that. Oh, and it has the mullet built into it, the hat. So you have the hat and the mullet as one. Yep, that's what she bought when she came here. And that's why tourists love Texas, right? People from other countries come here to buy that kind of stuff. All right, so what questions do you have as we close this out? I hope this 5643 makes sense, because that's something that we really need to make sure that we're thinking of. We want to target that 40%. Ideally, we wrap that 3% in there as well. But if we start thinking about the 40%, we can start implementing the right strategy. So somebody's interested in it. Now, when we build our follow-up emails that are going to be automated, then we say, okay, we know they're already interested in this. That's why they're in this funnel, right? They opted in for something on my page, regardless of whether it was related or not. And they said, okay, I went to this page because I have an interest in it. So if we can capture their email and we can say, hey, I told you guys I'm testing this free voucher. I haven't had much time to work on it, but if I put it on an e-commerce page for, I don't know, for religious something, and somebody signs up for that free, that means they went to that site originally because they're interested in the religious thing. I would still put them in my religious funnel. So now the first day I might say, you might give them some content about it and say, oh, hey, thanks so much. Here's your, obviously they immediately get the coupon code. But then the first day I might go, okay, hey, thanks so much. This is why, a little bit about my company, right? This is why we really focused on religious items, because it's hard to find. When you do find them, it's limited options, something like that, where I would give them kind of an intro to the business, to give them a little bit of content, make them like you, get them engaged in you. So, and we'll talk more about email marketing if you guys are interested in that, because I'm not perfect at it, but I do have a lot of training in it, and I'd love to be able to implement it. I just haven't had a whole lot of time. Like, we don't implement it in our security company because there's not enough buy-in from our leadership, and because we don't have a salesperson. So that's hard to do. Yeah. Now, Brian, you mentioned copywriting. Have you gone through the Learn copywriting class? I don't think they do a lot of email, though. I can't remember if they did email in the free one. In fact, I don't even think I went through the free version, so I don't know what the free version has. But Learn has a free copywriting academy bootcamp. And I'll post they have a bunch of free stuff, free courses that you go through. Of course, you get emailed after that from them, but I'll have to post those in our group for everybody. Let me put that down. Post. Because like the Instagram influencer one, the free version is more than enough information to get you started on that. If you're interested in Instagram influencer, if you're interested in, they did a digital, wait, did they do digital? I think they might even have a free email one. I'll find them all. I'll dig them all up and see what I can post. I pay for almost all their programs because I like the paid versions. I like the certifications. I like the testing me and making sure I know it. So post the free Learn workshops. And of course, their ultimate thing is to, even if buying the program is almost a downsell for them. So they give you the workshop and they want you to come into their live trainings. They're like, they used to be anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. And now, because they have their own facility, it's a lot. They're going to have them be less. Like they dropped one that they're releasing is going to be dropped. It's a Facebook ads one. And I think they dropped it down to like 2,500 for the live and 1,500 for the online or something like that. So, but it's like hardcore. If you really want to do Facebook ads, you have to learn it all. And it's more than just e-commerce. So, I mean, they have a Facebook ads one too, but it doesn't really focus on e-commerce. They have an e-commerce one though. I should totally post that one. I think that's a lot of that's from Fred Lamb too. Anyway, so I'll post those all in the K&K group, even though this is the lead gen one. Too bad, people. You should have Trex. K&K group. That's all we ever talk about. One day we're gonna have somebody come on that's not Trex, and they're gonna be like, "How do I generate leads for my insurance company?" And I'll be like, "Well, it's the same way. Just don't sell e-commerce stuff, because that would be obviously not good." All right, so post any questions. I know we're a little over our hour already. And then let me know if you guys, as you think about it, start thinking about how you would target your 40%, right? How would you target your 40%? So think about what your discount or freebie is to get the email on your site. Now, again, since we're driving traffic to Etsy, we're going to be more into the whole, how do we integrate that with locker stock? And we'll talk more about that maybe Monday, if that's what you guys want to do. I'm hopefully going to get my sister on board. I was going to hope for tomorrow, but we'll have to see how she's feeling, because she did go to the doctor and they can't give her anything. So she said she couldn't talk yesterday. And then, of course, she was in the hospital the night before. So with her youngest son, who has a massive case of pink eye, I'm like, thank goodness you're in Nevada, because I don't know what I would do if his eye was was swollen shut. It was so sad. Anyway, yeah, I know. I was like, man, we really need your expertise. Now, she could just give me a bunch of tips and I could do something, but I'd like to do it right, because, asking her the questions and everything is so much more helpful. And doing it live would be even better, but we may not be able to get to that. So, Joanne, did you give me a screenshot about the question you had too, or did you figure it out?
Okay, coming on. Sorry. I figured out one, but I was just wondering what the spinner was.
Now, what do you mean by that?
When you're in there setting up your product,
Okay,
it says spinner. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just trying to go in my shop.
Oh, I'm in the wrong one anyway, but anyways, let's go into ad listing.
Yeah, if you even look at one, it's in the listing details. You have your colors, your occasion, recipient. You just keep going down. Material. Okay, where the heck is it? Materials. Where is it now?
Where's the log out down here?
Oh,
sign out. Let me get into the other one, because the other one has a lot more, and I have more stuff in like variables and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's right after it says recycled. So let's see, where are you? I'm going to come back to you here. Let's see. I don't know if anybody.
So it's in the listing?
It's in your listing. If you go into one and just hit edit, you'll see it. And I've Googled it. I couldn't find anything.
Okay, now so you said it's under...
Down. Keep going down, down, down. Materials. Wait a minute. Variation price. Oh, yours are different. Oh, up a little bit. Up. All right, it's up. Materials section. We go up a little more. Production partners. All right, wait a minute. I'm not seeing it. It was, why not? Above description. Above, okay, stop there. Primary color, secondary holiday. You don't have it.
Okay, and neither does my sister. So you need to take a screenshot and let us see it.
Type physical.
If you use, I don't know, do you have a Mac or a PC?
PC.
So if you, I don't know if you know about this, but if you use the snipping tool, you can actually designate that you want it to be. Okay, yeah. So then you can just take like this section like this, so that way we can focus and see where it's at.
Yeah, I'll do that. Where? Because it's just renewal. It's just above that. It's right in. It's totally missing from yours.
Well, and it could be based on some sort of option that you've selected. Like it could be a category option, or it could be, you know, like I have offer more than one on my primary color. So if you have like, you don't offer more than one, that could cause it. So if you can take like what's around it so I can see that too, I can try to duplicate it and then let you know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, because it's right below holiday. Know what? Maybe because this is a jewelry piece. And I also put no for recycled. I don't see that you have that, I guess, because you're doing a shirt.
So I should have stayed in my other account because there's jewelry on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Yeah, if you
yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll put
then,
it on.
Yeah, and then I can take a look and see, because and that might be why, because you know she doesn't do jewelry, so she may never see that. But if we see it, I'm sure we can figure it out.
Okay.
Between all of us.
What if I say no? Nothing changes. If I say yes, nothing. Nope, nothing changes. Optional. No, I can't get rid of it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And which one do you want me to put that on? K and K?
Yeah, let's keep when we start doing stuff like this, let's keep it in our group. Because our group is private. People can't see it, except for people in the group.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, I don't see any other questions, so I think we're good to go. And anyway, like I said, though, on this, think about your 56, 40, and 3. And like I said, Etsy builds a lot of that in. But once you start making purchases on Etsy, start thinking about your strategy after that, and we'll start getting everything set up towards that. And like maybe Monday, we'll talk more about getting that set up and, you know, what that requires.
Okay. One other thing, just a little, just for Pinterest, if people are doing it, not doing it, I'm up to 71 now.
Sweet.
I went from 51 to 71 in less than a week, and I'm only working on it like usually twice a week. Every time I talk to you, I go, oops, I better do Pinterest.
Now I have a question for you. Did you go ahead and expand beyond your niche, or are you still focused on your niche?
I put in all different, like I want to do camping at some point. So I started a camping one. I love wolves. So I did wolves. Of course, my niche. And yeah, I did 10 of them because you said to set up 10. So I just thought of 10 things that I enjoy and just decided to go for it.
Now, but when you're following people, how do you choose to follow them? Just randomly, like I do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
kind of. I went into the, like you said, to do the people who are following people.
Yeah.
Like go into their followers, and that's
right.
where I'm going to be picking up steam.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's it was a really good tip.
Okay, good. Now, like I said, I just got my account back, so I'm going to start doing, there's one more step I need to do before I apply to groups, and that's basically get my website functional, and then some content from it pinned. And so it'll probably be another 2 weeks before I start doing groups on there. And then when I apply to groups, then we'll take the next step, because you'll want to get closer to 100 anyway. So that'll give me time, and then we'll apply to groups. And
I should be close to it in a week.
Yeah.
If I keep up going, because I'm at 71, so 91 by next week, and yeah.
Oh, and it just keeps, if you keep going at it, it just keeps getting higher and higher. I think I was at 690 when I got my account back. And so for anybody who knows, I have, every single time I've been suspended from Pinterest, I've been reinstated because I did absolutely nothing wrong. So when I'm teaching you guys things, it's really, I'm not teaching you how to do things wrong. I'm teaching you how to do it right. It's just that because I have 4 accounts, that I think what's happening is that, and I actually learned this from my syndication thing, is that because I have 4 accounts, you can't use Google Chrome to clear out your browser and change your IP. And I don't do that anyway. I just log out and log back in, because you should be able to use the same IP. So I've actually found a software that's supposed to help with that. But let's see, so I have 698 followers. Yeah. So that was yesterday. I got it back at 690. I'm up to 698, and I should be able to build up some more momentum. I'd like to get up to 1,000 soon, just because that would make my account look good. But
yeah, my analytics are going pretty well too.
Yeah.
I have like 2,000 people. I think it was 2,500 people. No, where am I? 27, 22 monthly users. 58 engaged. But that just keeps going up, so that's a good thing.
Oh, that's funny. That's
and I've had some
my daughter's
clicks
favorite
on
fabric.
Which is what?
This one right here, this unicorn and rainbows. That's my daughter's favorite flannel fabric.
It's cute.
Good. Well, I think we're making some progress. I'd love to hear if you guys have tried any of the strategies we talked about, if something's worked for you, if something hasn't worked for you. You know, I'd love to hear about it in the group. So in the K&K group. So please share your information there and let me know, because I'd love to focus on, you know, helping you guys build where the traffic is working. So like, since Pinterest, you're getting some clicks and stuff, it would be great if we can get you into groups soon. So that way you can get even more momentum. But there are a couple of key elements that recently have shifted that we need to adapt to be able to get into the groups and to get into productive groups. So that'll be our next step on Pinterest.
Hey, Kim, quickly, you said that Scalable Press.
Yeah.
You got something from them and the mugs were really nice there?
Oh my gosh, yes, you guys are going to love these mugs.
I am on there and I can't seem to find how you do anything.
Yeah, it's very annoying. My sister somehow loves it. I swear my sister and I, though we're identical twins, are exact opposites. So it took me a while to learn this. But so I went to their catalog, and then I'm going to go to mugs under accessories. And then they have two here. But if you look on like start, just click on start ordering. So this one's a regular beverage and this is color changing. So if you click on the, I know I'm a little laggy behind it. Dang it. I think you have to sign in.
Oh, maybe that's why I can't do anything, because I didn't sign in. I just kind of looking around because I don't even see mugs in their catalog. It's all t-shirts.
Yeah, you have to go, when you go to the catalog, you scroll. Oh, that's funny. Now I'm in a different section. Accessories. You click up here on, if you're, depending on which catalog page you're on. So if you go to accessories, they'll show you like different ones. So like they have phone cases. So I don't know, for anybody who's used Gear Bubble, they have phone cases, but they're old. These guys have new phone cases, and I am so excited about it because I have the Galaxy S8 Plus right here, and I'm going to put a scan code on it. So, because I love the scan code idea. So people can just scan it with their phone while I'm out and about. But anyway, so yeah, if you go back to, if you go into their accessories, you can find what they have. And so this one actually showed a lot more in this catalog, which was after I tried the other catalog. Come on, go back to accessories. So if you go into their mugs though, you can see their beverage mug. You can pick a color. Oh man, where is it? Where does she get it from? So they have more than white and black. They have purple and they have like green and blue and everything. And I don't know what the heck.
Cool.
I told my sister this, that these guys look like they're new. So I don't know why I have an account, so I don't want to sign up again. I can't remember what it is. It's on my computer.
Their prices are great.
Yes, their
price. Mug was $3.50.
Okay, and their shipping is ridiculously low. I don't know how they're getting the shipping. And I told her, I said, I anticipate that they're either new or that they are drop shipping from China. And she's like, oh no, they even have one in Dallas, and they have like all over the place. I'm like, then they got to be new. And she researched it, and she's like, yeah, they look like they're really new. And I was like, that explains their pricing, because their pricing right now is good. They keep it low until they get a bunch of people on. And this is everybody's strategy. And then once they get enough people that are buying from them, they jump their prices. So that's what they all do. But hey, why not take advantage of that right now? They've got low pricing. Even though they say they have embroidery, I haven't seen anything that they can actually embroider. And like I said, their drinkware, they actually do have colors. I wish I could show you guys them, but I can't remember my login. I don't want to create a second one.
How long did it take her to get her item?
Not very long. In fact, they do a different type of process for approval. And so she like forgot to approve it for like a day or something, and it still came like a day before they said it would. So like she ordered it on like a Saturday and she got it by that Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty freaking fast. And they actually have here, they have 3-day, 5-day, and 7-day. So like if you wanted to go buy products that was shipped by those dates, so they're ready to, it's based on inventory and everything. So this one is a little bit more risky than Locker Stock, because Locker Stock's integration, I'm assuming if they were to run out of stock of something, would tell actually, you know what? It doesn't actually tell the inventory. We should ask that. What happens when they run out of stock?
they were out of something, and I had a customer wait almost a month.
Yeah, and so if that happens on Etsy, we actually have to cancel the order. So we should probably
Okay.
find out how that works. If they, like they need messenger notifications to tell us when something's out of stock.
And it does tell you approximately where they're at with each item now with this new locker stock.
Right, but what happens when you push the item to Etsy? There's no more integration with it. So
Right.
it's not like it removes it or puts it to out of inventory if they don't have the inventory.
Yeah, because I know I waited a week. I was like, okay, why haven't I gotten this? And I sent it, and they're like, oh, it's going to be sent out by Tuesday. This is like on Thursday. Oh, to be sent out on Tuesday. I waited, nothing. Waited till Thursday. Okay, sent them another note. Oh, we're out of stock on that. It should be it should be out next Tuesday. So it kept going on for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and then they finally got it like in the end of the third or fourth.
Well, and I'm hoping that's just a learning process for them. But Brian said that they do notify us. How do they notify you, Brian? By email? I'm assuming.
No, they never let me know, Brian. And I called them like 3 times on it.
Because all I saw was a notification that they were out of stock on something in the Facebook group, and I'm like, that is unacceptable. Yeah, I mean, because what if you miss it? Especially with Facebook's new algorithm, they decide on your friends page. Oh, I have this huge rant about this, by the way. They decide which people you get to see information from. I sit there going, wow, I see between Google, Facebook, the media, etc. There is no way to get accurate information out to people because everybody filters everything and they decide. Facebook decides what content you get to see. I figured this out. Remember I told you guys that I was on a 2-day hold for my Easter egg ornaments? My Easter egg ornaments are religious. I forgot about that. I was like, why would they put the Easter egg ornaments? They're not political. And I was like, oh yeah, they have Jesus on them. So of course Facebook's going to go ahead. Yeah, my Easter egg ornaments, they've got Jesus in them. That's the whole thing about them. I'll show you. They're really cool. But
Brian, you didn't say how they notified you.
He's laughing at us being passionate about Facebook. See, these are my Easter egg ornaments. And because they're religious, because they're, in fact, I think that's the order I just got for them. Yep, Easter egg ornaments. Everybody's waiting till the last minute. They should have totally had these FBA. I had them, and then they ran out of stock, and I decided not to send them back in because last year we had like 4 that sold. And so I didn't think they'd sell this year, so I just sold out of my inventory that was there. And then I was like, Dad, you got to cut me more because I have like 6 orders waiting for you. Like,
those are nice. Those are wood?
Yeah.
Recycled wood.
Yeah, this one's recycled wood. So they call it MDF, and a lot of people think that it's like totally junk. But the difference is that we use a high quality MDF. So this is like used in like high level furniture. They'll put it in like, they use it to like support for stuff that's like, it has to be really smooth. And so it cuts really well, other than it's really thick. But then we also have a Baltic Birch that I didn't really promote this year, and I can't get it any bigger. But this has a wood grain to it. So like if you were going to stain them, I wouldn't do the MDF because the stain, it like makes it really light. But with the Baltic Birch, it stains because it's wood. So we're shifting to the Baltic Birch, but these still come out really pretty. It's hard for me to let go of them.
I like them. Brian, you still haven't told us how they are going to notify us.
Yeah. So Brian, how'd they notify you when you were out of stock? When they were out of stock, did they email you, or did you find out in the Facebook group? Oh, thank you. Email.
Email, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I guess email is okay. It's just that here's the thing: is that like I bought the system with my Gmail account, right? And they spam me with that. I get so much crap from them; it's ridiculous. So I would never see it. So then, and because of the way that everything works, I signed up for everything through my Gmail with them because I wanted to make sure they saw that I was a Trex customer, which apparently they don't care. But I was like, okay, well, now I don't get, if I get a customer service issue, they don't send me the email to my Gmail issue. They send it to my all-time finds email. So I don't even know where they would email me, but they should be letting us know prior to, especially with this Etsy integration, they need to be telling us before they're out of stock. They need to say, hey, we're low on this. you guys may want to cut back or may want to turn off your listings for now on it. You know, like if they're out of cutting boards or something, they need to tell us that, hey, we're running low on cutting boards. You might want to, and we don't know that we're going to get them in on time. They should be telling us that in advance.
Yes.
Especially since it's not integrated. You suggested the same thing. Brian's like, we suggested the exact same standard business practice that everybody else has to them. We told them exactly what they should be doing and should not be a surprise. You know, Brian's just laughing at us. He's like, yeah. He's like, but it sucked when they were out of stock. All right, so I know we made this more about tricks, but hopefully if anybody ever hears it on the replay, they'll be interested in what we're doing and how well we're doing. Oh, by the way, just to go back and brag about this again, beagle ornaments. I now rank on either page 4 or 5 of Google for beagle ornaments on this Shopify site, nonetheless.
Cool.
So I was excited since I haven't done anything on this site yet, other than this Easter egg ornaments one. This is the only one I've done a little bit more optimization for, and I still haven't fixed it all the way. So I'm like, okay, well, of course I wasn't focusing on Easter egg ornaments because last year they didn't sell, and neither did any of my dog ornaments. So I'm like, do I really want to focus on those? But it seems to be, again, go back to that 56-43 concept. So of course these are seasonal. So last year we didn't have anybody buy, like hardly any. This year we have probably sold, okay, so I think we literally sold like 4 or 5 sets last year. Then throughout the year we sold a couple here or there just randomly. Like at Christmas time we sold like 6. I don't even know why, but other than they are religious and very pretty. But and I guess just because they're egg shaped doesn't mean that they're not good for Christmas. But
exactly.
Then we like, I had like 16 or 18 or whatever there, and they sold out. And so then I turned them to merchant fulfilled. And then I started, like, literally we were getting like an order almost every single day. We've probably sold like 50 sets just this season. And I'm like, just since, like, I think they sold out in January. They sold out in January. So
awesome.
It comes, the 6 ornaments are in, this is all one set that we sell. So all 6 together. And we do use a laser engraver for this. So I'm like, I need to talk. I did also send over some information to Randy, because since I do know about laser engraving, somebody had been asking about, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but color laser engraving on glass. If I can show you some images of this.
Oh, he had mentioned that in the thing. Somebody was asking about it on the webinar.
And he goes, no, I can't do that, is what he said. And I'm like, that's because he doesn't know about Surmark. And Surmark, which I didn't know about this either, because the standard Surmark, I'll just go to their site. Surmark sales. This is a guy who owns this company. He like is best friends with the guy who made the stuff. So he created, this is one of the things that he created, but he created 2 things. And there are, and I sent this information over to Randy because this guy does color printing on metal. So he does these drop ship. So we can design these and sell them drop ship from his company. So I sent the information over to Randy and said, hey, this guy might be a really good vendor for us. And I already talked to the guy that owns this, to Mark. He's the guy that owns this. And I told him, I said, I'm going to be sending your information over to the CEO of what was Printex at the time. And he's like, okay, fine. And then he also sells the machines that do this. So if Randy wants to get a machine, he can get a machine. And then he does the, let's see, products, metal, glass, and ceramic marking. And so like, here's one that's blue for it. So instead of just laser engraving it and it be white, they can make it a specific color. And so like, this is blue engraved on glass.
Wow.
So instead of having it, so like when it's the mom or whatever, you can have it be red. So like, and I don't know if you can have it be 2 colors or not. I've never done this. This is all kind of relatively new. But I sent him over all this guy's information and told him, I'm like, should totally check this out, because this would set us apart from everybody.
Mm-hmm. The silver one, I think, had 2. I think it had red and white. So I don't know if that makes a difference with the glass. But I thought I saw
on the metal.
Yeah, I think I saw red and white.
Metal marking, color on metal. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one is just printing on it. It's not actually laser engraving. So they probably have this because they still do. I don't know if they do any. I think I saw some where you can print it on there, but they just do like this small. They don't do wrap or anything. So like they don't. Print Tech didn't have the capability to do wrap. This particular machine does do wrap, and it does a full wrap like this. That's really big. So it would be kind of nice to be able to offer. That would be something that would be different and unique. And then of course the laser engraving. So like when we go on, I don't think they have any mock-ups on here though. But like I think they like the wine glasses. So actually let's do that. All-time finds, because they have the wine glasses right in the front. On my slow site. My internet's working better today. That's why everything's kind of functioning right now, which is funny because we've been raining. So like right here where it says, so it says like mother, like daughter, and it's like this grayish white color on there. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Brian, you need to tell me about that. He's talking about black mugs. That you can make this so that it's, instead of it being this off white color, you can make it so that it's red or it's blue. That's what the other one is. So they have he has two completely different systems. But Randy, since he does this, all he has to do is put this application on there and it would give us color options. So it would be really cool to add that on.
That would be cool. I saw some in Etsy that people are doing the color.
Well, a lot of people, what they do is they either sandblast it and then paint it, or they'll etch it and paint it. And so they're not using the right stuff. It's like, they're probably doing it by hand.
Oh.
I don't know. They could be doing this. It's not like the guy's exclusive to us or anything, but you know, he says he doesn't sell very many and nobody else stocks it. So it seems like it's going to be few and far between. But the guy was really nice. The one from the Sir Mark sales thing, he was really nice. So he says the black mugs are black. They use a black rectangle printed on white mugs. Oh, aren't black.
The black mugs are black. I don't understand.
He's talking about sublimation printing. So like when I got the mug that I got had a really, it was wrong. It just didn't look black. And so they're not black. So how do they turn the handle and everything was black on the one I got? Like,
oh, aren't black. I see what he's saying. So they don't buy, they just buy white mugs and put a sublimation on the black mug. That's
okay.
Make sense.
Yeah, that's what the reason, the way they're doing it makes it so that the black mug quality looks like crap. So, and that was, I was actually talking to Kevin something or other. That was the Kevin Vito or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So don't use the black mugs from them. But the one from Scalable Press, they do not color the outside. In fact, they do the same thing with the purple and everything else because they do sublimation. I wish I could remember my login. Maybe I just use my Facebook page. Maybe.
Inside of the mugs are white. Yeah, I heard that from somebody else too, Brian. That's not cool.
So wait, so they switched then because my mug is not, the black mug that I got is not white on the inside.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be getting a black mug with a white inside. The whole idea is that you want a black mug.
So he switched. So Randy just must have switched them because the way that, I wish I could show you guys this.
Maybe they weren't selling enough, so it wasn't worth stocking them.
Because they probably got a ton of returns on this one.
No, I'm saying the black mugs. Maybe they weren't selling enough, so they decided not to buy them and to do this sublimation thing instead.
So this is what happened to me. So this is the mug that I had, and look, it has this border on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sublimation one. That's what happens with sublimation. And so, but mine's black on the outside and the inside. Yeah, exactly. So what they probably did is they switched to the white mug where this rectangle now is going to stay black. If you want it black and then you have the design. That's the way my sister's is, but it actually comes out more. It comes out like right here and it's purple. Oh, I wish I had that picture. I need to post you guys a picture of it. I'll tell her to post a picture. I have too many messages on my phone. I can't find her. I have to clear them out before I can do anything, and it'll distract me. So I just set it back down. But I'll have Chrissy post a picture of the mug that we did through Scalable Press so you guys can see with the colors and stuff. It's basically the same concept. And the black mug's the same way. Like they have a white mug and then it's just a black border around it. But honestly, the way that it looks on Scalable Press and the way it worked with the purple, it looked kind of cool. So it didn't bother us at all.
What was the background on the image that she got or did on the purple mug?
It was basically did the same thing, but it was white here, and then it was purple where this sublimation part is, and then she had the design in the middle. But it looked better than this, a lot better than this.
Yeah, you got to get us a picture of that. Give us a picture of that.
Yeah. But that goes back to Sandra's question about can you basically sell more than just what's from locker stock? And the difference is that locker stock, like I said, they're going to see all of your orders, but they're not going to process an order unless it matches their SKU. Now, I would check if you have a second one that's integrating with Etsy, I would check to make sure that they're not just like auto processing all orders or something, because the way that locker stock has it is a little bit more basic than a lot of these are as far as the integration, but it works better because of that, I think, in my opinion. Because a lot of the other ones are kind of restrictive. Like there's one out there that if you connect it, you have to connect like all of your products to them, and it's because it's an inventory control, and so it's an all or nothing, and so it doesn't really work out that well. And a lot of them tend to be like that. So Sandra, if you're still on, which I don't know if you are, but if you are still on, what I would say is, if you want me to. Okay, Sandra, if you want me to, you can just message me the link to whichever one you're integrating with in addition to locker stock, and I can look at it and see if I can figure it out for you, because I know it's hard. Like I don't know anything about programming, but I know a lot about systems, and so I can look at a lot of systems and tell you if there's going to be a problem. And if not, I tend to break them, not intentionally, which I won't break yours because I'll just be looking at the integration. But I used to work at a university and a nonprofit, and they had a system that they bought, and they paid a lot of money for it. And it's a big system for nonprofits and like, organizing their members and blah, blah, blah. And I worked there for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. Like the first year I was there, I did something, and I didn't know that I did it until 3 years later. And I went up to them, I said, oh, and it wasn't my fault. I did it exactly the way they told me to do it. And I came up to them like 3 years later after I learned the system better, and I said, this is wrong, and we've been doing it wrong since I've been working here and before. Like we've been doing it wrong for like 10 years. And they're like, what do you mean? And I showed them, and they're like, oh my God, the system should have caught that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how we bypassed it. We bypassed everything for years. And so I was able to, but then like the next week I followed up with a glitch that in the system, and they're like, how do you do that? I was like, I don't know. I like to break software. It's in my blood. So I'm just waiting until I break Chatmatic. Travis is going to hate me. I'll be like, hey, Travis, I found a loophole here. My bad. Of course, he can always blame Facebook right now. Or the NSA, right? That's always an option. As they're listening to our conversations now. My sister always goes, you can't say that because Homeland Security is listening. I'm like, Homeland Security's not listening. They have better things to do, like arm their Homeland Security agents that don't really exist. Which, by the way, Homeland Security does have Homeland Security police. And I don't understand how it works. I have no clue how it works. We had a big old tornado that came through the area. And so we have because up in Denton is one of the FEMA facilities. And all of a sudden we saw all these Homeland Security police rolling by. I'm like, how does that work? I'm like, how do you have Homeland Security police? Police is a local thing. And that's like, you can have your local police department, but you can't have Homeland Security police. I don't know, like 8. Brian asked how many Diet Cokes I had. Maybe like 8. There's too much stuff going on. Yes, I am. And I'm still talking. Okay, we should go. So I stopped talking.
Thank you, Kim. Everybody have a nice weekend, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a nice weekend.
It's okay, Brian. Eight's actually pretty is a lot for me. Normally I only have 3, so. All right. If you guys have any more questions, post them in the group, send me a message, whatever you want to do, and we'll keep going. Like I said, keep posting your products on Etsy. Give me any feedback on strategies you have used or you have questions on. And then next week we'll try to hyper focus on something that's working for someone. So.
Okay, and I've posted that picture for you. I'm doing it right now. I'm just hitting post, so.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Sandra. And we'll have to post this for Linda because she'll want to laugh too. And thanks for coming on and hosting with me, Joanne.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for doing it. We appreciate it.
Yep, and we'll keep doing it as long as you guys want to. So, again,
you're awesome.
Let me know if you have any questions, and we will talk more Monday, if not before then. Hopefully we'll get some Etsy stuff up before then.
Getting at least 10 more by then, at least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Happy Easter. That's coming up. That's this weekend. So happy Easter, and everybody get lots of chocolate eggs. You know what? I cannot find any Cadbury eggs. So if you guys know who's selling them, let me know.
Oh, I just bought some. The cream eggs or the Cadbury ones?
Yeah, the Cadbury cream eggs. Yeah, they have CVS has them. Okay, I'm going like right now. It's on my way home. Well,
our ShopRite had them too. I just picked up. They had like 3-4 packs for $7.
We don't have that here.
Oh, you don't have ShopRite? Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, we probably have whatever like their sister company is, but I don't know what their sister company is. So.
But CVS, I think, always carries them. I go there the day after Easter to pick some up because they're on sale.
Yeah, I think they're right across the street from Walgreens, so I could make a detour. It's hard to say that there's something that's between me and home when I'm a mile from my house. So Walgreens has them too. We go to Walgreens all the time. I'm surprised that my husband didn't see them there. He was just in there the other day. He's the one that claims they don't have them. So I might have to go check and see. Because Walgreens has a better parking lot than CVS.
Well, men, it's like directions. They won't ask. Sorry, Brian.
Brian's like, yeah, that's true. He's like, why ask for directions? I got man sense.
And mine will never go ask. I'm always first one.
See? Brian said that's true. Brian said, he goes, that's true. That's because he's got man sense. That's what my husband has man sense. He knows how my husband does have this uncanny way of being able to go places, but he's never been to before. You make wife go in and ask. That's what he does to me. But then I go, I don't want to go in. The guy looks creepy, and we'll be here for an hour because then I'll start talking to him. And we do. Mm-hmm. I'll go in to get like a hot chocolate. It's like 2:00 in the morning. The guy's bored. So he just starts talking to me. My husband's out there pumping gas. He's freezing, going, get in the car. Brian, there's only creepy guys out at 2:00 in the morning. He's the guy that runs the gas station. He's telling me how everybody breaks, like how the skimmers work and how they find the skimmers and how there's only like 4 keys to the gas station pumps nationwide, by the way. So you can have one of 4. And so if somebody gets a hold of one of those, maybe it's 6, but anyway, so if somebody gets a hold of the full set of keys, they can go to any gas station and do the spinners. Okay. Sandra's like, she drove around for hours because of man sense. That's a Kim word, by the way, man sense. That's the one I call it, man sense.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard it before. I'm going to have to start using that in my vocabulary.
We'll make a new word up. We'll be in the slang dictionary pretty soon with man sense.
Sandra, mine's done that. We drove for over an hour in the woods, and he's like, no, it's going to be coming up soon. Like, if you don't turn around now, I'm jumping. Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh, my favorite was when we were coming back from Nevada, and it was Christmas time, and there was we were beating the snowstorm. Okay, we were beating it, and all of a sudden it was like freak and just arrived, right? So we were supposed to be like ahead of it by like 6 hours. We ended up coming, and it hit like a day early, and it shut down all of the roads between New Mexico and Arizona. And we were in Arizona. No, wait. Maybe it was New Mexico and Texas or whatever the states next to Texas. Anyway, so it was shut down between 2 states. I was sleeping, so it could be anywhere. And my husband's like, well, we're not going to stop at a hotel and stay the night. We're going to instead drive down to the border because, of course, the border can't have snow. It did. Snow everywhere. So we're out literally in the middle of nowhere next to Mexico, which, by the way, my phone doesn't work next to Mexico, nor does anybody's for that matter. And we're like, so we can't get on Google Maps because we don't have a real map. Who carries a real map, right? Those things they're outdated like the second you buy them or the second they print them. So it doesn't work in Arizona. Yeah, I don't think anybody's phone works in Arizona because they have like no cell towers anywhere except for in like the major populations. So we're going along and we're down at the border. There's snow on the roads. We are not in a 4-wheel vehicle. So 4-wheel drive vehicle. It was 4-wheel vehicle, but not 4-wheel drive. And we're driving along and we're sloshing by. There's like nobody except for Border Patrol by the way, the fence, which is like 3, like, what are those prongy wires? Anyway, so it's like it's like a 4-foot fence that you can just like walk over or like slide between. We're going, is that the border fence that they built? Because that's kind of pathetic.
Our tax dollars at work.
Right. I'm going, how much did that thing cost? Because I know somebody could put that up for like $50. So we're driving along. They're driving around slushing around all the mud along the actual fence. And we're going, can you go on the actual highway? Because there's nobody. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, barbed wire. Exactly. That's what it was. And we're like, we can't drive because they don't plow out here because nobody lives out there. So then we finally get to like this gas station and we're like, hey, do you guys have a map? And they're like, a what? And we're like, a map? And they're like, no, we don't sell those. You're in the middle of nowhere and you don't sell maps. But I guess that's because all their phones worked on the Mexican border, but ours didn't. So we had no phone. We had no idea where we were going other than north, south, east, or west, based on the sun. Yeah, well, we didn't know because he turned and went a different way trying to get around because it was blocked. They shut down the highway and just turned us around and gave us no information because the storm was like a surprise storm. So they just had cops shutting down the road. And so we had to turn and he's like, well, I'm just going to go this way. I'm sure it was too. I was sleeping. So if I had been awake, then, and you know what was a miracle about the whole thing? So it's a 24 to 28 hour drive, depending on how fast you go, if you go straight through. And we usually do that. We just go straight from Texas to Nevada, straight through. We stop in Vegas and get something to eat at our favorite restaurant if it's the right time. But other than that, we just drive straight through. And sometimes we'll stop at a rest stop and sleep. Of course, I won't sleep because I'm paranoid and think everybody's going to kill us if we stop at a rest stop because that's what you think when you stop there. But I was sleeping and he turned and Cassandra, okay, she's like, I think she was 2 at this time. The way there, she didn't sleep like hardly at all. On the way back, it ended up being a 3-day drive. A 3-day drive. She slept the entire way. Like she would wake up, drink some water, and then go back to sleep. And I was like, that is so weird. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. And yes, I will talk to creepy guys. Oh no, Sandra, what makes me paranoid? Like, I need to go to bed before midnight. Otherwise, there's like, you guys would think that the thoughts I have after midnight are so weird. You're like, and the whole, I'm not eating right now because I had a dream about bad meat. Yeah. Sorry. There's a reason why I just stay at home most of the time because they have diagnosed me, well, tried to diagnose me multiple times with anxiety and give me medication. And I'm like, wait, so what happens? What's the point of the medication? Like, so you go outside. I'm like, but I don't want to go outside. Even with medication, I don't want to go outside.
You only go up 2 o'clock in the morning, talk to creepy guys.
No. That's only when we're driving. And that's only because I get bored. My husband doesn't talk to me when we're on the road. I'm like, can you talk to me? And he's like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, well, let's talk about blah, blah, blah. What do you think about such and such? Oh,
really? My God, mine does that too. I just bring my laptop now because I just get too frustrated.
Yeah, I get car sick. So I have to like look at stuff and talk to people and but he won't talk to me on the road. So then my sister, I get my headset and, well, it doesn't work anymore with the phone, but when it did work with the phone, I'd get my headset and just talk to her the whole time. And when we had reception, not in Arizona, apparently, Brian, because that's where we go through and it would be completely cut out. Sandra, what do you have to do? He doesn't talk and he doesn't want you to listen to tapes or read. He's like, just sit there and think about being in the car with me.
I want you to be as bored as I am while I'm driving.
Please. Okay, we're all goofy. I have had too many Diet Cokes. I'm gonna have to edit this for the replay, by the way. I'll have to stop when we're supposed to stop.
You just have to cut off the last half hour or so.
Brian's leaving before he gets in trouble.
That's right, he gotta go. Oh yeah, I should probably go prepare dinner myself.
If he makes a wrong turn and you're sleeping, he gets angry. My husband doesn't generally get mad at me as long as I let him drive. Because when we first got together, he let me drive, and then after we got married, it was a big surprise because he's like, "Oh, I'm driving everywhere," and I'm like, like my whole life I've driven everywhere. I mean, that's just the way I am. I just drive everywhere. I'm a control freak. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm driving." I know it is really hard to navigate when you're sleeping, but he'll take the wrong turn and then he'll be like, "No, we went this way because," and he'll come up with some weird reason. So he won't get mad at me or anything. He'll just justify why he went that way.
Because they're never wrong.
Right. Brian's definitely leaving now because he's like, it's against the man code to confess to this kind of stuff. So I can't say anything because even though it's true.
Oh. All righty.
Right. Yeah, we should go. I got to go. My baby went home with grandma and is tormenting her. So she's got allergies.
Everybody have a happy Easter and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah, happy Easter, and thanks again, Joanne, for your co-hosting. I was going to say co-sponsor, but that's not right. So co-hosting, and we will, again, talk Monday, if not before then. Post questions in the group.
And thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.